Tell us about your awards that you've had.
Well, I was fortunate. I worked in different teams. As I described GAO earlier, GAO is
Yep.
organized by issues, and I worked in
Yeah.
different areas. And so I was fortunate. I received awards, but in all of the areas, I worked for great people. And but one fun award I'll tell you about was called the Mission Impossible Award, and it was back in 2005. I I worked toward getting an issue on GAO's high risk list, and
Yep.
the high risk list is well known in within the federal government. It is identifying programs or areas that are vulnerable to mismanagement,
Yep.
fraud, waste, or abuse, or just mismanagement. And that's a list of um, over 20, not a lot, but over 20 areas. So I worked to get a new issue onto the high risk list, which is a lot of work. You have
Yep.
to it has to go through a lot of review, and many stakeholders are engaged. And so I was successful in getting what's called interagency contracting, basically contracting between federal agencies. We had done a report on that, on the use of interagency contracting. We found several areas that for possible mismanagement. So then I worked to get that issue on the high risk list, which it did in
Yep.
2005. So I got this award called the Mission Impossible Award, which was really fun. They give you a brief, Mission Impossible, the
Yeah.
movies. It's
Oh yeah.
movie.
They
Yeah,
filmed it here at
right,
one point. Yeah.
right. So what the gift is, you get sunglasses and a briefcase that you open, and it plays the theme song for Mission Impossible. So
Mm.
that was a fun award. Tom Cruise, but those are Tom Cruise movies.
Mm. So with that, how did that go? How did that go? Just out of curiosity. I mean, how did people feel about it? I mean, you got obviously it was a good laugh, but were people feeling good about that someone's actually pushed the limits and got something up?
Oh, well, that depends who you're asking. I think
Yeah.
within GAO, yes, it
Yeah.
was, a big cause for, celebration. I think federal agencies are not happy to be on the high risk list,
Mm.
because that means there's a problem. So
Yeah.
we we found a problem, and but it's always good to shed light on issues, and before the problem gets worse. We found that interagency contracting, there were not proper controls when
Yeah.
agencies it was basically agencies using each other's services, but they did not have proper controls in place, and that so there was risk involved. And of course, the agencies did not appreciate it, but it's a good thing to shed some light on these issues and
Yeah.
then make sure it doesn't get worse.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of I mean, it's one of those things which, people have been so indoctrinated in some organizations, they're not prepared to push.
Mhm.
They know there's a problem, but they're not prepared to push. And on the other side, I had one person, they basically drawing blood out of management because he just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed them over the limit. But, but it was a good thing. I think from their point of view, there's, and I'm really talking about the younger people coming out now, out of college and going into organisations. They'll be indoctrinated into basically do the work, do as you're told, and whatever, notwithstanding everything else. But at the end of the day, they'll still be recognised as young, inexperienced people, not someone with some knowledge that can be applied. Um, and that's why I asked that question, because part of it is celebrate your wins, right?
Mhm.
Very
Oh,
few
yes.
organisations don't do it, and that was one thing we were big on: celebrate your wins. 'Cause-
That's why it was a fun award. I mean, I received
yeah,
other awards. That one was really fun because
yeah,
it was with the briefcase and the theme
mm,
song. We had a little luncheon. It was just fun.
yeah.
Um, but what you mentioned about when you try to do something different, that's really challenging. It's
It is.
as you said, people become indoctrinated, and um, that's not a criticism, but you get used to doing your job in the way that you've learned it, and to try to do something different is it is more work. If you want to
Yeah.
change the way that you're doing things, or take a new approach or look at something from a different perspective, you are creating more work for yourself and
Oh,
for
you
other
are.
people. So
Yeah.
it can be very unpopular if you start to say you want to do something differently. Um, it's not always supported.
No, it's not. And I was always one of those people. Hence why I got into asset management, I suppose. I was always one of those, and I was always getting into trouble. My answer to people was, fundamentally, if I've done the wrong thing, I'll bend over and you can kick me bum. But if I believe I haven't done the wrong thing, you don't even try. And I was very much like that, and you know, people didn't know how to handle me for that reason. But the amount of enjoyment I got out of things,
Mhm,
not from doing that, but actually getting the result, was immense, and it still
mhm.
is. I'm happy to question anyone or have anyone challenge me, and I'll stand there and take it and put the ideas up and try and sell it through. And that's why I do what I do. Otherwise, I'd be very wealthy living somewhere doing something else. Yeah, doing Bitcoin, yeah,
Yeah,
something
no, I
like that.
agree. I agree.
Huh?
I think I always tried to do something a little differently, and it wasn't easy, but also because I had to manage teams. And so, I had an idea, but I had to train, you have to get the buy-in of the people
You
you're
do.
working with,
You do.
not only of your supervisors, but also if you're managing a team, you have to get the whole team.
Mm,
And it takes us an investment, but I think it's really worthwhile because that's how we came up with the asset management framework. That
yeah.
had not been done before within GAO. I know there are other frameworks out there, but we really had to look at things differently, and it really paid off. But um, you are making an investment and a
Yeah.
commitment to
And
doing
a
if you want.
commitment. But yeah, and because there is different types of people inherently, we are that. Some of us are pushers, if you like. Some of us see this is crazy. What are we doing? We want to improve it. Others are quite happy to go along and just do what they do, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. But it's about you know what makes you happy when you're
Mhm.
doing your work. When you come out of college, I didn't know who the big boys were in when asset management didn't exist. I didn't know who the big boys were in engineering. And I remember going to one meeting and we were completely stuck in the corner by ourselves because they weren't happy to have us involved or anything. And
Right.
that was just to see someone talk. Um, and I thought, this is crazy. So part of the idea for me is to get people, if they are dynamic and they want to do things, they can still do it. And there's a very rewarding area, the asset management. And not only that, you can be successful, however you deem successful. So, I don't shy away from it because, oh, everything's all done. Oh, no, it's not all done. Everything's got a long way to go. We're just at the start. And I think there's a lot of people coming out of college which would actually fit well in this area and do well. And I
Mhm.
think that's the important thing. A quick story. I mentored one woman. She came out of college, an environmental scientist. Took her on board, mentored her for 10 years. Now she's very successful. She's got her own business. She's not in asset management, but she's learned what she learned from asset management to go into health and well-being and that sort of thing. Got her own business, and it's thriving.
Oh, great.
Uh, she wouldn't come and ask me for a loan. I'd have to go and ask her because she's the one who got all the money. But she's happy.
Uh,
I'm happy doing what I'm doing. That's the difference. So yeah, people can be successful. They can, and that's what I'm trying to send a message to. And talking to yourself and others, it's the same thing. We don't have to be millionaires, but we do have success in our own way, and we're very happy about what we've done. And
well,
and so
there's a real need for forward thinking in
Yeah.
asset management. Penny Burns, I'm sure you
Yes.
know.
I know. I
She wrote
spoke to her last week.
Yeah, she's been doing this for 40 years, and I think she's been saying the same thing, which is,
Yeah.
I believe, we need to look at asset management differently.
Yeah.
And she just came out with this book, The Story of Asset Management, and um, we need to look at things differently. So we do need people who have new ideas and want to do
Yeah.
are creative.
I'm having a session with Penny at the end of February. So
Oh,
we're going to
great,
do another session like this.
great.
So to get her
Yeah, she's a
thoughts, and she's got a lot
she's
of
a
them.
well, she's a trailblazer. She started this 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. People, I used to stand there and in the office and look at the managers, if you like, who had 20 years experience. And here's me with 5. And I say, I wish I had 20 years experience and I could be like them. Well, that's all gone. I'm now had 42. And where to go? I
Uh,
passed them. I'm down the road and they're still plodding along. No, thank you. I want to get out. But that's the whole point. It's you pave your own way. I think more than anything else, you pave your own way, and if you're that type of person, get into an area that's changing. Because even now, as you say, it's changing. I'm spending a lot of time on social media. A lot of time with AI. A lot of time with all those fundamentals, which didn't exist, you know, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago,
hmm.
and we've now got to get involved in it and understand it and make it work for us. And so that's all part of the equation. Here's another tool we need to use, and you should be using. And why? Because I can now write a report in half a day, which used to take me a week, because everything's at my fingertips. Enjoyed this video? Press the like button and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, please click on the Patreon link below and sign up.